So 3 Podcast, I am Robert.
Yes, and I am Reggie.
And once again, we are joined by Matt Hayes. Matt Hayes is a returning guest. Thank you, Matt, for joining us all the way from North Carolina.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Matt Hayes is an entrepreneur. He's a hustler, if you will.
Yes.
He's a...
An MRI tech. You have many titles.
I was going to do a big
Father.
song.
Yes.
Yeah, you may wear many different hats for sure. But you're jet setting recently, and it's all because of your business ScanLab, which is a... Well, actually, so it's... The way I describe it, because it was just this week that I was talking to a coworker, Mike, if you guys are curious. And they're asking about, like, any guests coming up? And I mentioned you and mentioned ScanLab. And I said, I think it's going to completely revolutionize MRI education. The potential is we only are just scratching the surface, right? And so when we last spoke, I think it was, November you were here last?
Yeah.
No, it was definitely June or something.
You remember Arizona. Because of how miserably hot it was?
That's right.
Okay. I apologize.
No, it's fine. No, it's great. Humidity was super low.
There's always a plus.
Yeah.
Was it hot? How hot was it?
Oh, man.
Well, basically, when we spoke with you last, we kind of covered ScanLab and what it was. It's a simulation, essentially. But kind of the analogy that I would give is you were an airplane on the tarmac at that one point, taxiing to the runway. At this point, you're on the runway and you're about to take off with ScanLab. And
we just want to be them air traffic controllers.
And so exits are to the. So take it from there, Matt, if you would.
No.
Yeah. What updates?
Yeah. No. It's and listen. There's. I don't know what ScanLab is. Is it a simulator? Is it? If someone figures it out, please email me and let me know what it is, because
Skynet.
We kind of get lumped into this simulator thing, and there's so many things that we do differently.
It's a tool. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, we're calling it quantitative thought simulation, and so
now you're just flexing, bro.
I don't know. It's a working title, but I mean, all with ScanLab and with ImagingU, both of them are just trying to solve a problem that exists inside of MRI, and so I'm lucky enough to have I've been a student. I've been a teacher of those students. I've been, a teacher of techs. Yeah. I've been very fortunate to be able to see what those pain points are for education, and then also what I wish I had when I was starting out. What I wish I had access to. My network is great now. I have a lot of really smart friends.
You're welcome.
It's bigger and bigger. But what happens when you are a new tech? What happens if you don't have? There's plenty of programs out there that we've seen that, hey, you're the X-ray teacher. Congratulations, we lost our budget. You are now the MRI teacher, and that's tough.
Right.
So at that point, you're starting to lose fidelity of your information, and we want to make it to where there's fewer variables. So, and when it comes to hiring, when it comes to cross-training, I mean, right now, as I'm sure you are having the same issues as everyone else.
Oh, man.
There's a ton of open jobs for techs, whether it's people that are retiring early, because the baby boomer population is starting to retire. And so that's a reason, but also you've got people that elect not to have the COVID vaccine, or they're just so tired and they just say, you know what, I'm gonna go do something else.
Right.
But I mean, as an administrator, I was an administrator and a chief tech, and when somebody would quit or someone moved away, it was like a death blow to everything that we'd worked for. And you've got a year and a half to teach someone and get, it's a very slow progression. And if I'm really going to spend the time with you, I don't get my normal job done. So it's how many people are you going to need to hire to make sure that your workforce doesn't suffer? Because you guys, if it's not just about bringing somebody in to sit in a seat, it's about making the people that are in a department and that are tired, giving them reinforcements, making it to where they don't feel so overwhelmed and exhausted.
Right.
Scratch me right where I itch, Matt.
Yeah, because we had a guest on fairly recently, and he literally talked about everyone that you add to your department is either going to be a plus or it's going to be a minus, right? And we want to make sure it's always
That's why
a plus.
employee retention is so important. So when you do have those all-stars, hold on to them.
Hold on. I can't believe you guys have other people on the show. thought I was.
You know,
That was it.
no, that was
Well,
imaginary.
it's plural, all
person.
stars. But
Yeah.
you're definitely you're the Michael Jordan on this Space Jam.
I'll give you some money. I'll give you some money later. But no, I didn't mean to cut you off there. But I mean, it's a tough time in radiology.
Right.
It's a tough time for techs. It's a tough time for. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that are administrators, and it's breaking these people. You know, they have so much anxiety, and they don't know what to do. And so, what's the best thing that you can do?
Money talks.
Pizza party.
Pizza party,
No,
right?
What's the best thing you can do?
That's so real.
And here you go.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Think about that. I mean, you really try to start to turn toward either students or you start to turn toward your staff that exists already to be able to try to cross-train them. And so, how do you do that most efficiently and effectively? So that's what I want to talk about at some point today on this episode, just to kind of what we've done with a large healthcare organization that we feel is changing the game when it comes to cross-training, skill quantification, quantifying where your individual staff are, and then being able to give them things to improve, to be able to keep retention.
One of the cool things about ScanLab, I think, is that you're not confined to the 40 hours a week, right? So you can do this on your own time.
Or when there's not a patient on the table, which is extremely powerful, right? Because then you can kind of play with things and kind of figure it out without having that extra pressure on you. Because there's a lot of pressure when the patient's on the table.
Well, and think about if I'm a student, if I am a cross-training, tech, how long is it going to take me to scan 500 brains? How long is it going to take me to be registered for, have my specific comps taken care of to sit for my boards?
Right.
How do I know that person is sitting with the right person to be able to get that data or to be able to get that information correctly? That person might be getting a completely different how-to of things depending on what day that they're cross-training. And so those are the challenges. They've always existed. We just decided to try to address those and others as well, and also make it to where we were able to provide outcomes. So a lot of products, a lot of companies sell products. We can actually sell outcomes. So
That's big.
It's at my previous position, you'd come to me and we would chat for 3 days, and whatever you get is whatever you get, and best of luck. But with ScanLab and with ImagingU, you can be able to scan and get that muscle memory taken care of on 50 patients by the time you would scan really 3.
Well, so the Mike who I was talking to earlier this week, what I mentioned was that a person who's doing, a student could walk in to clinicals day one, having never even seen a patient, and they could scan every single patient that day and know how to prescribe each sequence.
Probably outscan some of the text there too.
Well, I mean, I'll show you some data on that, because it's one thing to be able to say our stuff works. It's another thing to have data to go over it. But I mean, you are, like I've always said, MR, the only difference between me and somebody else or other techs is that I happen to be taught by people that were amazing right off the bat. But there's plenty of people that are going to places that don't know what they don't know. They are being trained to be a button pusher. They're being conditioned to be a button pusher. Don't ask questions. We don't have time for this. We're going to be behind schedule.
Right.
And always our goal is to provide a playground for these people to be able to be objectively judged and have a way to grow didactically, and that's the ImagingU side, and then to be able to apply those didactics in a safe environment. And we really try to release these new features, and I'll show you some new features.
Can we touch on ImagingU a little bit? Because I feel like the last episode we really didn't talk about ImagingU a lot.
Yeah.
So what exactly is ImagingU?
ImagingU is the didactic side. So ImagingU and ScanLab are meant to answer or solve different problems. So ImagingU is an online platform. I designed the platform, so from a user experience perspective, And it is all about the didactics. It's all about the physics. It's all about the really tough concepts. We have an MRSO course that we did with Toby Gilk.
Nice. Big shout out to Toby. We love that guy.
You're on the fence.
No, but we did a cardiac, the very, very expansive cardiac course, because it's one thing to be able to know how to prescribe a 2-chamber view. It's another thing entirely to know how to minimize your echo spacing and put on a shim and make sure your temporal resolution is in keeping to see valvular motion.
Right.
And how do you do that with a patient with arrhythmia? So ImagingU focuses on asynchronous learning, and then ScanLab is a way to be able to clinically apply those things much more efficiently.
Right. Nice.
So think about when you're so when it comes to ImagingU, you can take these courses again and again and again. And when you purchase one of our courses, you get access for 1 year. And so for MRSO, am I going to get everything the first time I go to a conference? Am I going to get everything?
Man,
it doesn't
jam-pack that data so much in that weekend.
That's right. And so what we find is, conferences are really rad, and
Right.
you should go to as many of them as possible. But what happens afterwards? Do you know what you just learned? How do you really apply that and convert it to long term? And so ImagingU seeks to, we've got 101 level courses. We've got 501 level courses where you've got John Kirsch from MIT teaching you about K-space. It's just where you want to get off the bus.
Man.
And so, ImagingU is translatable to 117 languages. It is, you can take it again and again. And so your more light bulbs turn on, and you don't have to have the stress of, oh man, I'm going to miss something. You come back and your notes are like hieroglyphics. Whereas this place, you can pause, you can rewatch, you can add these things to your favorite slides. And I think that's the reason why, from an ImagingU standpoint, we have a 100% pass rate of the ARRT boards, and a 100% pass rate of the SCMR of the ABMRS safety boards.
100% pass
100%.
rate. So only like 3 people have taken the test,
The
course, and then the test.
Yeah,
type
3.
of thing.
I think that's worthy of a tattoo somewhere, Matt.
Yeah, no.
that's
Last
awesome.
time I checked, it was
100%.
300 or 400 people that have taken the MRSO, and then upwards of 600 to 700 that have taken the.
Man, props.
It's just
The data.
well for me. And by the time I figured out how much work this was going to be, we were halfway done, and so we just had to keep going.
Right.
We were halfway across the Atlantic. What are you
No
gonna
turning
do?
back now,
Yeah.
right?
And it also made me a bunch better. If you're making these courses, and I don't just I don't just make these courses. I think it's very foolish for me to think that you should all listen to me for every single thing that I've done.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm the narrator, so you'll hear my voice. So technically, yes. But at the same time, it takes a village to make these things that we've made. And a lot of people will donate their time and their knowledge. And it's been really, really great to build. So, and another thing that ImagingU did, I just realized how broken didactics were inside of MRI. I asked my professor, hey, what's a gradient do? And they're like, sorry, I got to take this phone call. And jumped out a window and never saw them again. So we undertook this thing in ImagingU to be able to teach the most complex concepts with animation. And so if you see here, just maybe something that we can look at here. If we go through to our courses, if I just look, just one little thing that we do, and we have about 5.5 hours worth of animation. And so, for instance, equipment and hardware, terrific. Cool. So in this case, so you'll see we are ADA compliant, so American Disability Act compliant. If you are a tech that's been staring at a screen for 100 years, you can be able to actually increase this area to be able to see what the narrator is saying. So we want to go for the visual learners, and we do that with the animation. We want to go with the auditory learners, so you can actually hear the person, the narrator talking, and then we want to also have the visual learners again, and the word learners. So you can do whatever you want here. So in this case, I can always hide this, and then so think about this. it's really tough to understand what a gradient does, and it's even tougher to read what a gradient does and have to try to figure it out. And this is obviously pretty macro. So you'll see if I'm turning on a gradient, let's just stop right here. You're turning on a gradient right now, and so what we're doing in a linear fashion is changing the main magnetic field. So in this case, for the purposes of spatial encoding, right? So see, I'm scanning, in this case, we're scanning on a 1 Tesla machine. So you'll see at isocenter, my gradient does not change. It doesn't change my magnetic field. But up here, maybe I have a 1.2 magnet that my protons are seeing. Down here, I have a 0.8 Tesla magnet. So, and the whole point of this is if we pause it, this is what you're going to see. Frequency, meaning how quickly our protons are rotating around the precessional path, that's going to be altered, right? Because we know, based on the Larmor, based on resonance, that the protons, they spin faster. Their Larmor frequency is faster depending on, or slower depending on their magnetic field that they're exposed to, right? And so, and you'll see that right now, if we unpause this, so you'll see while the gradient is turned on, see how this one is moving much faster, this one did not change, and this one's moving slower. And so technically what we're doing here, and this just sets the stage for everything. So notice, guys, everybody thinks that a gradient, like a phase encoding gradient, is just, you're just changing the amplitude of the signal. But why are you changing the amplitude of the signal? I mean, technically, every gradient that we're turning on is, by definition, a frequency encoding gradient. Because you'll see, right, as soon as I turn on this gradient, this one, the frequency is faster here. It's spinning faster, but after we turn the gradient off, so here we go, turn the gradient off, now they're spinning the same frequency again, but they're on different areas of the precessional path, which is phase. And so also
Nice.
This is great for our MRSO course. We put this back in for the MRSO course because you need to understand, Toby will tell you plenty of times, whatever is in the isocenter will never have the option of having peripheral nerve stimulation because there is no difference between the magnet being on or the magnet being off, or the gradient being off or on.
Oh, right.
So, but as you get further and further away, there's a larger difference from when the gradient is off to when it's on, and that's the reason why if the patient is doing a brain, you might have peripheral nerve stimulation down in the lower back. And so it just sets the stage for everything. And so we have, we go back through, and for me, I know what my students needed. I know what I needed, and that was visual learning. And if you think about it, if I had to go back, would I do it again? That's an interesting question, Matthew. We'll talk about that tonight by myself while I cry in a closet. But we want to make it to where you can see this stuff again and again, and new light bulbs are turning on.
Right.
And we also, something very important to me is just because I have this platform, just because I have this ability to reach a lot of people, does not mean I deserve to do that. Okay, so I mean that's the problem.
Are you throwing shade at us?
No, not at all.
Oh.
I'm simply
No,
saying that there's with Facebook and things like that, it really
Right.
gives a lot of people the way to, say, hey, this is the way you should do things. And for me, we don't release anything until it has been fact checked by some much smarter people than me.
Right.
And so I just think with something like this, it comes with a lot of responsibility. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. Because misinformation is a big thing in all sectors of anything, right?
Sure. And sometimes people will not mean to be spreading misinformation. They'll
Right.
think that they understand these. I know I'm guilty of that.
No, for sure.
I
me
mean,
too.
calling up my old students and saying, "Hey, remember when I told you that, that increasing, echo train length destroyed your signal? That's actually not true.
And they say, "Why are you calling me at
center
11,
like,
11 o'clock at night?"
Who is this?
Yeah.
It's that guy with the weird hair from no, but that's what I try to do here. So we take this super seriously is all we're saying. So this is a place for we use it in many universities. We use it in a lot of different hospital systems as well. And the real success that we've been seeing is the people that are using ImagingU for the didactic side and then applying that within ScanLab.
Well, clearly there's been a lot of thought put into it, and that's the reason for your success so far. That's awesome.
Just want to solve a problem. But So now, let's say, I mean, I've gone through and I've learned about spatial resolution. I've learned about image weighting and contrast. Every second of animation takes 1 human hour, assuming that human understands the concept.
Dang.
So it's tough to also teach animators. So this is a 4.5 to 5 year project, just in and of itself, to
Right.
have these animations. So and we also have lecture, like inside of here, you can be able to. We have lectures that you can be able to watch again and again. It's been really fun to build. You can go through, and one of the things I like about this is you can do board preparation. So I can choose how I learn best. Do I want to go through and see true statements? I'm just converting these to memory, just true statements.
I like that.
Or do I want to change my mode to be able to go through and choose one of the subcategories of the ARRT boards? Or do I want to do all categories? Because if you do this right here, it'll create an exam you've never seen before and you'll never see again. So you're not getting good at the test. You have to understand the concepts. And we all know, everybody, that you can pass the boards if you memorize well and you're a good test taker. In our case, we have it to where this is a springboard for success. You are comfortable with this. Let's get these wrong. So you see, if I get it wrong, it still tells me why I got it wrong.
Nice.
I can put this in my problem question. So I have a problem question bank. If you think that this is a strange question, you can always report the question. It comes to our quality assurance department. You can tell us why, because we're humans. We make mistakes, spelling errors and such. But anyway, if you go back through, if I go to my dashboard, for instance, now I can go through, and each one of those questions were tied to a different subcategory. So I can now see how well I'm doing in every category, and I can actually test. And the other thing that you can do is there's a 2-hour timed test that has all the exact same functionality as the board. So you're
Like a mock registry kind of.
yeah. I mean, and there's still places that you fax in your
Scantron.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
so this is unlimited. You can take thousands of these. And so we had a lady that reached out to us one time, and she'd failed it twice, and she was going to lose her job. She's 70, early 70s, 71, 72.
Time to retire. Sorry.
Well, no, but she passed with a 92% on her third time.
Nice.
And my thing is I don't think people want to be button pushers. I think they lack the tools and the resources to be successful.
Right.
And so far, that's proving to be actually the case. So I want to show you guys just a couple things, because last time we were here, we talked about this, and I couldn't show you some things because we didn't have the patents in place just yet. But I want to show you a couple. And you guys are familiar with ScanLab, but we just have to protect our IP, and you'll find that we're very educational oriented and practice oriented. We always say we're for techs by techs. We're for educators by educators. Some simulators that I've seen are made by brilliant people, but those people haven't scanned a patient, and so they don't know kind of the problems that we have as teachers and as students. So it was really important for me to build this to solve the problems that I thought in that certain way. So I want to show you something pretty new here. Is we're in the process of uploading all of these angiography things, but for instance, carotids. And just like before, I mean, nothing's changed here. You have to go through our first portion of every ScanLab exam, which is the safety check, and you need to go through and you need to figure out if this patient is a candidate to even go into zone 4. So see here, we have a pacemaker here. Now, we're not asking you to clear an implant. We're asking you simply to bring this to the attention of your MRSO. Look for, or your reading physician, that kind of thing. So I'm going to say unclear implant here. So that should trigger, do you have an implant card? What's the conditions to be able to scan it? Those kinds of things. If it's a combination from multiple things, like for instance, the patient had a cardiac pacemaker and also had a previous reaction to contrast and they're getting contrast, then you would say multiple concerns. So now that we're in here, and the same thing inside of ScanLab that's been here from the beginning is that we have inside of ScanLab, we're asking you to do things. We're asking you to prescribe slices. So in this case, prescribe axial or transverse slice. through the carotid arteries. So in this, we're looking for dissection in this case. So, and you'll see we have an angle criteria and we have a coverage criteria. But in the background, you'll see that ScanLab is actually judging you based off of a deviation from that angle. So for instance, if my field of view is much too large, I start to lose points. If my angle is not correct, I'm losing more and more points. If I am covering too much anatomy, we all know those people that they're not very confident. So, I mean, we can be able to
Name names, Matt. Do it.
No. I mean, but the point here is to be able to give them a place to get confident.
Right.
And so as our angle gets better or worse, as I cover down to the belly button, that's a medical term. If I cover down, if my phase encoding direction is incorrect, so you'll see you lose points. So anyway, I'm not gonna get too deep into this, but you're always getting judged based off of a deviation from that criteria. And if you remember, the criteria is decided upon by a group of people and a group of authors. So Kathy Westbrook decides the criteria with me. Ann Bright decides the criteria. Some radiologists, we all get together and lovingly argue about what the correct range. And so we have a certain field of view that we'll allow. We have a certain slice thickness that we'll allow. You'll see my slice thickness and gaps are inappropriate right now. So if I go through and put this in, obviously right now I'm skipping 3. Let's see if I change this at all. I don't want to give anything away, but so you'll see same thing if I hit scan now. I can name this whatever I'd like. Perfect. And I say okay. So now I actually have the images. So now for students, it kind of follows you around. If you prescribe a bad angle, that angle is going to follow you around. Same thing right now. If I... Okay, you got it. As I'm angling more and more with my carotids, as I'm going through and I have greater left-right symmetry, you'll see, and the students don't see this. Or the users don't see this. This is something I see just so I can kind of explain the ethos behind this. But you'll see as I get better and better, it is possible to get really great grades as long as you are consistent, as long as you pay attention to the criteria, and that kind of thing. So, and that's ScanLab as a whole. But if I hit scan here, okay, sounds good. So now I see my image that I got. We don't make you do a post because typically you're going to copy everything, so you can do a subtraction in this case. But right. Where it starts to get, I think, really fun is when you hit proceed. Here we go.
So does it say, can you work with timing?
Exactly. So now you can see here, based on a time to center of 2 seconds, when are you going to basically stop the fluoro and start actually acquiring K-space? So we literally have hundreds of these things, from the renals to thoracic aorta, brain, pulmonary ablation, all of these things that are happening. So you can sit there and say, start contrast fluoro. So now, based on a time to center, and some people they've never heard of the phrase time to center. Remember, the center of K-space is controlling the contrast. So because this is 2 seconds, I need to hit this 2 seconds before I would have complete opacification of the carotids. So, and we have coronals, we have parasagittals, so I can sit there and go, all right, cool. So this, normally you have like the tech hover, you know what I mean? If you're trying to teach somebody this, when it comes to, you're going to spend way more money. When it comes to re-injecting, the images aren't going to be as good. NSF, all of those safety concerns as well. And so we want to provide a place for our people to go and practice forever. All these other things are specific for Angio. I'm just not even going to go into those. But at the end of the day, we actually can go through and we see that ScanLab score. So you'll see I got a 100% on that timing. Why? Well, we would allow anything. I hit it at 21.8 seconds. We would have allowed, and we can prove this, we can allow, based off of what we've done, you would not have venous contamination between these times. And so our students, our senior techs that maybe don't see a certain type of study, they can be practiced inside of ScanLab, so when something does come, they're able to much more confidently walk into that exam. Whereas our students, we're getting calls, and they're saying, like, is there a hidden camera that are you sending me a senior tech to be able to, pose as a student? Haha. But really, it's just these people have had a chance to have something we never had. And it,
I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to just kind of
I wanna
like
see
speak
what
into an
Greg-
MRI program.
So, I mean, and right now we're in 60 plus universities throughout the U.S. and Europe and Asia, and so the thing about ScanLab is I can show you that you can go through, and I won't do this for now because that has some data in it, but you can actually go through and you can go through retrospectively and look at how the student angled or the user angled, and so we love this for as when I was a professor. There was no way I could actually make it to every single person that was in my program. How do I know when they're ready to comp? How do I know that they're actually eligible, should be able to take the boards?
Right.
How do I know that they're not dating the person that's signing them off or best friends with that person and you don't know? Really, I mean, how do you know that a person entering the workforce is actually good at their job? You
Just get that certificate,
They
that's
passed the ARRT registry,
Right.
which takes nothing into account, or the ARMRIT, which currently takes nothing into account in regards to actually scanning.
Right.
And so, so same thing. Like this is fun. So I'm gonna do. We have what's called the DICOM playground. So remember, inside of the normal exams, do you just say, "Wee"?
You said fun. You started it.
Okay, I like it that that's your fun sound. So, Reggie, would you like to go to dinner with me? Whee!
Exactly. You
My
know.
goodness, you must slay. The test by region has all of like the do this for me, do that for me.
Right.
Whereas the DICOM playground, there is no. It's kind of as close to a normal simulator as we get. But if I go to the resolution lab, we're not allowed to really do a lot of playing, right? We're giving patients unnecessary SAR. They're squeezing the ball, asking to come out.
Yeah.
And so the problem here, and this is something new we've come up with, is the resolution lab. So inside of ScanLab, I don't want to put everything together. I want to segment it into individual MRI components, like resolution, like understanding of contrast and weighting, understanding of phase encoding and angulation. Because if you understand weighting in the brain, you understand weighting in the knee.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but I wanted to split them up so we can more appropriately understand what you're good at and what you're, deficient in.
Oh, nice.
And so you'll see here, if I'm going to go inside, and you'll see, and I disagree with how the manufacturers represent spatial resolution. And we can maybe talk about this on another episode fully, but ultimately, the right here, true spatial resolution is actually the size of your voxel. It's not just your matrix. It's not just your field of view. It's a combination of both, and that's a big deal. So you'll see here, and also a lot of the manufacturers, they will say that show me, or they'll display if they do. Like GE doesn't even, they don't tell you what your actual true spatial resolution is.
Right. The new software does now.
Okay, good.
They
That's
caught up.
okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. No, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I was especially ACR wise, I had no idea what they were talking about when I was a new tech. So I didn't know that there was a combination. So this just is again like a risk-free place for you to play. So if we're looking at the IACs here, what's my sorry, I don't have that good a sight. There we go. So let's make this. Let's start this out and let's make this really low res.
Is there like time that's adjusted per parameter?
So time is easy. So I mean, something that we will do is time. I mean, what is time? It's averages times TR in seconds, times phase encoding lines divided by echo train length. I mean, it's really simple to be able to do. The thing that I'm holding off on for now is that if I say, hey, give me an axial T1 that's 30 seconds long, all they're going to do is either bottom out the resolution or increase the echo train length so much that we lose a ton of spatial resolution. And so, we have more blurring in the voxel. And so we just want to do it. We've got a plan. We're just rolling these things out in a responsible way that doesn't, we just did our 13,000th ScanLab exam. So This is being used by a lot of people, and we don't want to give them the incorrect impression going forward. Now, we still ask resolution and time questions inside of those critical thinking questions at the end of every exam. So we still make sure that you really understand that stuff, and we teach that stuff inside of ImagingU from a didactic standpoint. So they're doing great, really. But still, if I go through here and I've got either a combination of a large field of view or a low matrix or whatever. And I think we're about 0.9. So let's go take it a little bit further. Now normally this is going to take, I don't know, this together 192 by 192. It's going to take me a minute, 2 minutes, probably 2 minutes.
2 minutes, yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, a minute and a half.
Okay, I like our compromise. So you'll see we can do it in, I don't know, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. There we go. So you'll see here, if we go and look at this, notice the large. If I start to look at the nerve here, there's so much partial voluming. It's partial voluming because the voxel is so large that some of the voxel is nerve, and the other part of the voxel is CSF or air. Something other types of tissue. Mm-hmm. And so you see looks like a old school Nintendo. So what we can do now is and I'm gonna increase my matrix while I slightly lower my field of view, and you see how it's updating in real time. So you can see, and I show the actual true resolution, whereas if you hover, it shows you the reconstructed resolution. Because
nice.
I don't know if you guys know this. I didn't know this until a couple of years ago. Is that we're always, if the voxel if your matrix and your field of view, assuming they're all square, if they're not, you're going to have a rectangular voxel that you're getting. So how do we overcome that? We fill k-space with zeros to be able to actually make the pixel square, because your radiologist is viewing these images on square pixels. The pixel size don't change, and so we always have to do some kind of reconstruction to be able to view it on a screen.
Oh, right.
Do you know that? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that even with an isotropic voxel, you're still zero filling.
Well, if you have an isotropic voxel, you don't need to zero fill. If you have an anisotropic voxel, see there?
I came full circle.
If you have an anisotropic voxel, you have to, because a voxel is 3D, right?
Right.
A pixel is smash that together and represent it in 2D.
Right.
And so if that pixel is not perfectly square, you have to fill k-space to be able to make it to where it appears. You reconstruct it to where the pixel is square.
Perfectly square.
So you'll see it shows here in the reconstructed resolution, but you see the true resolution that you're actually getting. So right now we kind of have a mid resolution. So I'll just say mid. There we go. And so there we go. And as the depending on internet speed or something, as the voxel gets smaller, it's going to take a little bit longer, but nowhere near what it's going to take in real life. And so you'll see that was 8-9 seconds, because it's really important for our students to also have quick access to this information. If something takes you 15 minutes to create, it would be easier to do it in real life. There's really no point either.
Right.
So let's do the same thing just lastly, and we can take this up. Sure. 320. Bring this in. Just something. I don't know. Fine. So now we're at 0.5. Sure. Okay, so now I'll say scan. This would normally take 3-4 minutes, depending on, obviously some other factors, but we're really focusing on the voxel size itself. So high res. And a lot of, you can play around unlimited here, so you can, but for me, I like to use the resolution lab to give me the exact same slices, but with varying resolutions, to know that I can accomplish that in various ways. So whether it's matrix, whether it's field of view, whether it's that kind of thing. So you'll see as we are creating, and this is there's a ton of true data here. So there is a data library inside of here so we're not interpolating to be able to give you the stuff. This is really what you would be getting. Dang. So it took a bit.
Oh, I can imagine, because you can have so many variations in your matrix and field of view. Those combos.
That's right.
Change.
And did you notice the cutest loading bar that's ever existed?
noticed
I
that.
can't take my eyes off of it. It's very hypnotizing.
I always say it's the Hello Kitty of loading bars. So if that's my contribution to the medical community, I'm fine with it. So now I can go through and just say mid, and I do my original one that I didn't name, but you can now mag these things up and, you know, kind of get them in the exact same position. So you'll see here, so 7 of 10 right here, 7 of 10, I think. Yeah, there we go. Let's mag it up. And you can actually, like, as we mag these to be able to, and we compare, it just, we just did 15 minutes worth of experiments. We did it in about 45 seconds. So you'll see there's a reason why when we're looking at very, very small organs and body parts that we need smaller voxels to be able to have those voxels be resolved, have them only be filled with one type of tissue. And so this just gives you, and you can go nuts with this. I mean, you can do, we're bringing in abdomen inside of here because I think that's also very important to know. You know, sometimes we all have different gut sizes, so
Yeah.
a lot of people don't understand that if I have a larger field of view, then I need to compensate for a higher matrix to be able to, you know, get a certain. But so that's the resolution lab, and we have this either in the context of just the playground mode where you can just go play, or we've got it where you can actually take an exam inside of our special area, and it'll say resolution lab, and then it's telling me, hey, give me you're getting, just like before, you're getting graded based off your angles and your coverages and things like that, but also we've asked for a certain in-plane and through-plane resolution that you have to adhere to be able to get good grades. And so, yeah, same thing with contrast lab. I showed you guys contrast lab, right? And we just are creating a partnership with a really great company, which I won't divulge just yet, but it's going to make it to where the contrast lab is going to be, it's going to be
Off the chain?
It's going to be a gigantic improvement. So we're pretty stoked about that.
Yeah.
We have something else that we're coming out with. We've had already is cardiac. So we have a lot of the new cardiac fellows at a few universities getting good at their angles in a risk-free environment, and we also have congenital hearts that we're loading up, so that, you know, there's so much more to cardiac than angulation. A lot of people don't know that. That's where ImagingU comes in with the cardiac course, but we want to make it to where angulation of your cardiac angles is second nature. You've done it literally a million times on 60 different hearts, and even congenitals, you know exactly what to do.
Right.
Because, I mean, you guys scan cardiac at all? So how difficult is it for you to have a student sitting next to you, somebody learning cardiac, and be like, okay, the patient's held their breath 100,000 times, come on in.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, so we find that there is a gigantic, there's 2 people, 3 people that are really specialized, and then a gigantic drop in quality from there on in, because cardiac doesn't lend itself because of so much timing with the late gadolinium enhancement and the perfusion. You're on the clock, and the patient's so tired when they're done that it really doesn't lend itself to teaching, to training. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You know that probably better than me, but that's what we've been doing. We have some other things that are coming I'm excited about, but once again, we can't show just yet.
You're a tease.
Yeah, that means you just got to come back again.
See there, I'm just
breadcrumbs.
But I want to show you some the big reason why I'm showing this is just to give you an idea of what ImagingU and ScanLab can do. What I think is the real game changer here is that you have complete oversight of your learners. Mm-hmm. So teachers can go in asynchronously and see how their people are angling, especially with COVID. That's a really big deal. Mm-hmm. So I can actually go through. I'll show you my profile here just so you can kind of see it. I can go through here. I can see my critical thinking scores and how well I'm scoring in, because every one of our critical thinking questions are on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being like bonkers hard, like PhD level, and 1 being introductory. But I can go through. There we go. I can choose brain, and you can actually see how you're trending across time, and you can take unlimited you can take unlimited exams. But I can go through, imagine I'm a student, and I can go through as a teacher, and I can say, let me look at just this attempt. So now I can click on it, and you see, why did I get a 35%? Well, you see I am 14 degrees from my ScanLab angle, so you can actually call the student up and say, hey, let's rotate, on the far left, let's rotate counterclockwise. On the far right, let's rotate clockwise. You really want to go with that falx. You want to, I like your slices. You can check their slice thicknesses. You can check their field of view. But the whole point of ScanLab, guys, when you're taking it, we put you in the position of having a bad chief tech. We do it on purpose. We have the phase encoding direction off sometimes. We have the slice thickness off all the time. You need to think about what would be an appropriate slice thickness and gap. So, and you can, and we see the difference. We had a very large university reach out to us, and we did a demo, and we said, how'd you find out about us? And they said, we had a student that came in we just hired from one of your colleges, and we've never seen anything like it. This student is the best tech we've ever seen come out of school. And we asked her what happened, and she said, it's this. And so they reached out to us.
That's a nice compliment.
Wow, I know, right?
I wonder if my school got the same call. No?
They did. They did. No, but so radiologists really like this because, I speak this language. I can be able to show you asynchronously, and we don't give the correct answer. The user has to go through and really critically think to be able to go through and make those adjustments and take it again. Because they're just going to take a screenshot if I showed you what exactly to do. And so you can also go through and see the resulting images. Oh, there she is. So cute. So you can actually go through retrospectively, and if I'm a radiologist and I speak this language, or I can be able to, as a teacher, say, well, you see how see how the shading is coming down? Right here, that's CSF. That's the falx. So you can tell that your angle is incorrect. This is what I would do, and this is how to fix it. And so these students are, if they have to, or these cross-training people, they're doing, they can literally do 8 months, 9 months, years worth of scanning in a very short amount of time. So they're learning the PACs instead. They're learning the RIS instead. They're learning the little isms of the place that they're working. They're not, and patient care. They're not worried about. They have this muscle memory. They've got 3 years worth of experience in muscle memory in an incredibly short amount of time.
Even the huge jump start.
I agree. And so you can go through, and you can actually. I always say I don't have to prove that ScanLab works. We have the data to prove that it works. And so I want to show this this study that we did. So about a year ago, I got a call from my now friend Derek at Alliance Healthcare. So if you don't know Alliance, they just joined with Acumen. So I believe they have 900 techs around the United States. They do mobiles. They have static image facilities as well. And so they were looking for a way to cross-train their people. And they asked us, we kind of made a bet, to be honest. I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's try this thing. And so this is the point, because like we talked about before, there's a large tech shortage.
Huge. Yep.
Are you guys experiencing this in your?
Man, it's bad,
Yeah.
and I feel like it's getting worse too.
I think they're got 6 FTEs there.
6 or 7.
Six.
Yeah.
Oh,
companies.
you guys. I don't know if you tell people where you work, but
You know.
okay, yeah, I don't know anyway. So, but there are people that we chat with all the time that they're down across their entire system, 150 techs, 200 techs, in one case 300 techs. We're also working with NHS, which is National Health Services in England, to be able to. They've had like a 10-year tech shortage, so we're working with them to be able to also train more efficiently and effectively. So this is just a study to show, and this is not my data. This is a rundown of Alliance. So what we did here is we combined an approach inside of ImagingU for the didactics, and we joined that with ScanLab. Okay. So this is the background that we were talking about. A lot of techs. This is just going into why we have a shortage in the field, whether it's early retirement, whether it's the baby boomer population, whether it is I'm leaving to travel, whatever it is, we have a tech shortage. So the goal of this was to be able to cross-train someone much more effectively from ultrasound or X-ray or CT to be able to not just be a body in a chair, but also be eligible to take the ARRT boards and to demonstrate competency with the head of quality.
Right.
Okay. So there were three cohorts. So basically, there was self-study and sit next to a tech. That's the legacy cohort there. Sit next to a tech, that's the way
That's how it
it's
happens
usually
now.
done, right?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, sit next to a tech.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we had a modified legacy cohort, and that's sit next to a tech, and we are giving you certain modules to take from another place. And then we had the ScanLab and ImagingU cohort. This is a little bit older. Now we are up to like 6 or 7, something like that. But so the legacy cohort, like we said, self-paced. In this case, they were using MIC, but 40 hours a week, on-site training with a registered tech, just to kind of the normal stuff.
Right. How things have been for the last 12 to 15 to 20 years. Right?
Tried and it's been the way.
It's been the
That's
way.
the standard. And then the legacy, the cohort limitations are basically oversight. How do I know that you're studying? How do I know what you're good at and you're bad at? What are you doing to make yourself better? What's your participation here? It's very difficult to quantify if,
Because you need that information in order to help someone grow, right? To
That's
make
right.
them better.
And you also need to have that. It's also nice to have that accountability and say, hey, I'm watching and you haven't even started actually the didactic side. In this case, you can actually have a program that goes on a certain number of weeks and you have a schedule that you are keeping on.
Pace it out, right?
Yeah. I mean, 'cause I know I work better with
Size.
with goals, and a lot of these things just have a way of just kind of playing out over months and years and not really
Right.
leaving the nest. So like we've seen with ScanLab and ImagingU, what they decided to do, or what the things that we kind of bring to the table here, like we said, is we have oversight to where you can go through and look at your modules and you can see how many minutes this individual has spent in the modules. You can see what their grades were, what their scores were, and you can actually go through and just pick out the things they don't understand to go over that with them. So it's a much better use of the trainer's time. It's a much better use of the administrator's time or the teacher's time. Same thing with ScanLab. I can be able to give them real-time feedback either over a Zoom call if I want to do that, or I can make screenshots and email them. Either way, it's much easier than a teacher or a trainer sitting in traffic to hopefully go and hang out with someone while they're doing hopefully a good exam and try to
Right.
get a good idea of where they are. Here, you can actually see them actually improving. Like we talked about before, you can see their angle that they prescribed and also their resulting images. So the first person that went through here, and this is, like I said, a little bit older, but as of week 9, this person, week 9 progress, this person had taken all the ImagingU modules and they'd scored incredibly high. Because we are accredited from the ARRT, we're completely accredited to all 16 post-primary pathway things you have to sit for or you have to take before you take the boards. We're accredited for that. So they were ready to take the boards. Now what they needed to do is, in the ARRT case, they needed to comp on 125 exams, right? Like we all have to.
Right.
Actually, ARMRIT is really coming up these days as well,
Yeah.
and they don't have a certain number of exams. They have hours that you have to, like 1,500 hours that you have to be doing something MRI wise. So we're working on some exciting stuff with ARMRIT as well.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so you'll see here, this person in 9 weeks has scanned 560 ScanLab exams. How long is it going to take you in real life to scan 560 patients?
Maybe 10 years. That's how long I've been doing it.
I mean, let's say you're doing, as a student, maybe you'll do 3 or 4 a day, 20, 22, 23 a week, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
So, but this person has they just
Yeah.
they've got, that's what I was saying, they've got years worth of experience and feedback, and so they're learning things correctly from the, from their people the first time.
I feel like too, this new generation is so used to instant gratification. They want that feedback and they want it now.
They get it with
I mean,
this.
Right?
Well, sometimes they like the feedback, sometimes they don't. But it gives you the way to improve. So I'll show you some of this. But as of week 9, this person had already comped. This is insane. They'd already comped 52 out of the 125 exams needed to take their boards in week 9.
Dang.
Okay, so let's go to the second person. Same thing. This is only week 7. And they have accomplished 19 out of the 125. So this is the new data that we've gotten in from Alliance, our good friends at Alliance. You guys are great. So now we see the first, because this data continues to come in. So each one of these people, the blue, the red, the green, the yellow, these are the 4 people, and depending on what week they're in. So this is the weeks that they've started to train in ScanLab, versus the blue and the red. The blue is the legacy cohort, the 10 people, and the red is the new cohort that goes through the modules and sits next to a tech. So you can see here.
The discrepancy is quite the difference.
So if you look, so this is from the findings that Alliance will be publishing. So you'll see that we put not just a normal tech, but I mean, we put a really solid tech out there, because we've had follow-up calls with the radiologists, with the trainers, and also the staff themselves. And you see we've reduced the time to actually sit and scan patients by 63%.
Wow.
So that means that we're putting people out at 16 to 17 weeks that are able to take on a full schedule, that really able to, not a full schedule, they're going to continue to learn, but they are contributing to the team. And so that gets them out. So you see it says the duration, the normal average mean duration is 43 weeks that it's taken that person to exhibit that same amount of clinical and didactic expertise. So basically that makes it to where we're putting somebody in a chair for these people cross-training 27 weeks faster than ever before. So think about your backlog.
It's literally half a year faster.
It is a 1-minute mile.
Wow.
And so think about you guys that are tired. Think about you if Katie comes in and says, "I'm out. Sorry," you're gonna sit there and go, "All right, don't go." Like, "Baby, come back."
Yeah.
But now it's not the death sentence that it used to be. Does it mean that these people are coming out and they're the best techs ever? No, but they're consistent. They are scanning at an incredibly high level, and they'll continue to learn throughout their time. So within ScanLab, we do year licenses, so you can continue to go back and check back in with them.
Nice.
You can be able to monitor their progress, and so this is one of the trainers, and this is like the head trainer, and said she's never seen people with this kind of confidence. She's never seen people with this kind of skill, and she's been 33 years in the field as a trainer. So we're super excited about this new, because we feel like we're just unlocking the true potential of people and techs that have had these difficulties forever.
Right.
And we apply this. So now we're starting to apply this within a hospital that says, hey, how much do our techs deviate from each other? Okay, and we can be able to, you can do a ScanLab assessment, and now I can be able to recommend certain, either a ScanLab, ScanLab is kind of like an interventional tool to be able to improve you over time, or we can make it to where we can be able to make it to where you're hiring the correct people the first time. And if you still want to hire someone and they are deficient in something, we have modules for that within ImagingU. we can have a complete full service plan for everyone. And we're finding that everyone needs help. Whether they need staffing help, whether they want to feel more confident, whether they want to experiment but aren't allowed to. We just want to make it to where people have these tools, and the data that we're getting is phenomenal.
Wow, man.
So, okay, so that's. I think the last thing I didn't show you guys is now we have a hiring tool. So now you have.
Hold on, what?
Yeah, you have like a skill assessment. I got to log out here. Hold on. So give me a second.
Well, I think we talked about this last time, but I could definitely see it moving in the direction where people are including their ScanLab scores on their resumes.
That's exactly right. So if you're coming in, we've got students that are doing that as well. I mean, hey, I'm so and so.
It's like a
I know I don't
portfolio.
have. I know it's a Carfax report.
Yeah.
It is an Uber score.
Dang.
I mean, like I say, like why do you get into a perfect stranger's car that could kill you? Because you can look and see how many stars they've got, and you can see how many times they've done these trips.
Right.
So I can sit there and say, skill assessment here. So I give both of you guys, I'm the hiring manager, and I give both of you guys a coupon. You go to ScanLab, you use that coupon. So here, the first thing you need to do is you need to take a tutorial on the skill assessment to know where the buttons are and that kind of thing. You can take it as many times as you want. You can download Google Chrome, the most recent version, because we work really well on Chrome. You can make sure that we say close all your browser tabs, whatever. You can't proceed until you have say I understand, because we need you to be on the hook.
Mm-hmm.
We need you to be accountable. So if I say proceed here, so you'll see I say sure. And I can set any type of exam that I want. We can customize it, but typically we have 3 or 4 clinically validated ones of these. So now I'm judging you again based off of your understanding of safety. And now you'll see here, you'll see I don't have answer criteria now. I don't have the angle that you're supposed to do. I don't have the reference in Kathy's book. Nothing like that. I'm asking you, and we're putting in synthetic MRI here to be able to say, give me a sagittal T1 spin echo sequence without fat suppression. So you see, just like we had an increased user interface for the resolution, we have an increased interface for just the contrast. So you'll see here, and also I can, if I say, well, I don't know these values, I only scan at 1.5. Well, now you can choose 1.5, and now we have a different amount, a different rate of T1 relaxation, that we have a certain range of TRs that will allow that's different than a range of TRs that will allow at 3T. And so there's really, and so now I'm not just being judged based off of my angulation or whatever. I can really get a snapshot of who this person really truly is, without them, because you can't have somebody actually scan for you. In a perfect world, hey, come over and scan. We'll do a working interview, and your insurance is like, yeah, you can't do that.
Right.
You're not on the books. You're not under our insurance. So in this case, I can go through, and what do you really know? Do you know your TRs? Do you know your TEs? A lot of places are giving sign-on bonuses for people that come down. What sign-on bonus is this person deserving of?
Right.
So if and the cool thing here is we don't have to have, we can be 765. We can do an echo time. And again, you have to assume that these times in these areas in here are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did it die?
It has,
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but anyway, sure, 1,000, amazing. That's my T1. That's not going to go well. So
Let me ask you this: how do you reassure the techs who believe themselves to be strong in their skills but not very good at test taking?
Again, everything about this is pretty low stress. I mean, you don't.
You either know how to prescribe a sequence or
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're doing this in your house on your own computer. And you'll see I just prescribed a sagittal. I mean, it just because the person maybe doesn't know their TRs and TEs doesn't mean they're not a good tech. They just are not a protocol builder. They're not. But we've also had really, really fun conversations with techs that have just felt stuck, and now they know what they need to improve on.
Right.
And the manager knows what they need to improve on, so they're excited.
Yeah.
I mean, and you find
This should be well received by all.
Well, I think there's those 20-year vets that are just kind of clicking the button that are going to be intimidated by this because they're not going to be able to leave their job if they got to go somewhere else to take this test to get another job.
well,
Well, and that's who I was considering when I asked that question, because I know that there are those vet techs
That's
that
where
get test anxiety.
but there and that's okay. And as an administrator or as the hiring manager, I can give you 2 or 3 exam attempts. So it's up to them. We make it to where you do you, but obviously you're going to get the best idea when they don't know what to prepare for. But you'll see here, plenty of places they angle their axials differently. So you'll see right up here, if you see it glowing in orange, you know that you have a different criteria here. So sometimes people will angle with the Petrus ridge rather than the ACPC. I'm an ACPC guy, and that's how I was trained.
Right.
But we still make it to where we also look at the variability from one
site to
place to
site.
another.
Yeah.
So you're only getting judged based on the criteria that you choose. And that's explained to them. So you'll see if I'm trying to do a T2 weighted spin echo sequence with fat suppression. Turn on fat suppression. Oh, there we go. Turn on fat suppression. I will say, it wasn't a T2, right? We can do whatever we want, and we're actually going to see what images that we're going to get. I mean, I can do a 170 TE. That's not going to go well. But and the same thing, you don't just get. So I'm going to clip the cerebellum here. And typically with a TR this high, I mean, this is going to be. There we go. I mean, have I gotten did I choose fat suppression appropriately? Have I done the correct TR and TE to be able to fall in? I've chosen much too long of a TE. So if I say, okay, normally this would take 3 or 4 minutes. Typically, depending on your internet connection, it's I don't know, 20, 25 seconds.
Nice.
And so this is a way for somebody asynchronously, if you're out of town, you can't come to an interview. We're doing this all online. I can either watch you do this, or I can just get the report later on, and I can see the actual images that you prescribed. So after we get, so
Well, if you don't mind, let me ask Katie, because she has some experience with leadership, and you've done interviews, right, Katie?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on something like an applicant coming through with something like and
and you can say it sucks, Katie.
Oh, it
I'm
definitely
just
doesn't
kidding.
suck.
No.
No, I think this is an awesome tool to be able to use. And it's funny because you mentioned that you can't do working interviews. I've actually done 2 in my career.
Yeah,
Yeah, they had me dress in scrubs, come in and scan.
that's
I got both jobs.
that's. Oh, I bet
Just
you
for the
did.
record.
Look at you.
But
No,
what a cool tool. That's awesome. Even just watching someone, like you said, watch somebody do that, and you can kind of see what are they thinking or what are they changing. It gives you a really good insight of what you're going to get.
insight is a good word, I think. It adds
Yeah.
you a lot of insight.
I'm gonna get these wrong or whatever. So same thing. We're testing them based off their understanding. So the idea of these is to get a full, comprehensive understanding of who you are right now,
Right.
what
How
you
good is this
understand.
Uber driver right here.
Exactly. Yeah, and so we're getting oxygenated in the right side. We're gonna come back in, left ventricle coming back up. 1 second. I need to hit this now. Okay, cool. So, and this is the last feature I'll show. The newest thing that we've got. We heard a lot of feedback that that if so in this case, this is our pathoview question, and this is our 3rd generation. The first time we just said, what's this pathology? And we need you to understand what MS looks like. We need you to know what, we call them ant minis. We need you to know what a stroke looks like. You know, we need to know those things, but I don't need to know the difference between a glioblastoma and a low-grade glioma. I mean, but so in this case, what we can do here is we can go through and we can say either no pathology, or we can go through, and I'm not going to give the answer here, okay, so don't give it away. So I can go through here and I can say either no pathology, I've scrolled through everything, window and level, I can, or I can say I see pathology right here. And you'll see now you've put a red dot inside of there. So it's not if you know what the pathology is, but just like our scope is as techs, you don't need to necessarily know what it is. You just need to know that it's abnormal. And so we have this for our students as well. And so you see, thanks for your submission. So you don't see your score. In this case, it goes directly only to your hiring manager.
Dang. But it looks similar like the other score that you would get
It's
from
the
ScanLab.
same criteria, same, all those things. But now I can much more confidently. I mean, we've got people that are, especially with the tech shortage, they're bringing people in from other states. They're
Right.
bringing people in from other countries.
Right.
In the UK, you have to get a work visa. You have to go in from they're trying to get people from Morocco, trying to get people from India, Philippines to be able to come in. If you're going to spend, $30,000 or $40,000 of revenue just to bring someone in, might be a good idea to have a comprehensive understanding of who that person is.
Right.
Okay, so that's the updates. That's the updates to ScanLab
So does
and
ScanLab
ImagingU.
come with like a job board where you post like how many stars you have and where these worker people can just come grab whoever they want?
We will see.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but it really does. I mean, what we're in the process of doing is statistical understanding. So, let's say you guys are taking a ScanLab exam. I could.
Can't say that.
I can. No, I can. So I can be able to tell you where you stack up from a regional level, a country level, and worldwide.
Oh,
To be able to tell you where you rank inside of here.
who's number
in
one in the
regards to
nation?
skill.
I need to know this.
I don't know yet, but
man.
it's
I'm wearing a fur coat if it's me, bro.
we have
I'm coming into work. The whole world gonna
I'll
know.
get you a chain. No,
MR safe one, please.
No, but perfect. But that's the key, because you may or may not completely agree with the ScanLab criteria. You might angle 3 kV away, but you can see these people's tendencies, and you can see what they excel at in a very, very comprehensive way.
Yeah,
And
I'm sold.
I'm only saying that because we have the data already, but it's really challenging to go through retrospectively and start to sort it in very, very meaningful ways. So I'm really excited about that. That's what we're working on right now.
For good reason. You should be excited. I would be too.
Man.
Yeah, the future is bright. Where's your sunglasses at?
Oh no. They'll probably
Gotta be
need
wearing
a
shades
large
right now,
prescription in the future. So, yeah, but thank you guys for letting me show this stuff. I mean, we're excited about it, obviously, but we're excited. I mean, we count on people like you all to help us spread the word. And I've been talking to a few techs when we're doing these demos, and they're like, hey. I saw you on Zone 3, and they're like tell Robert and Reggie how much I enjoy it. Tell him how much I've learned from it, and this is not random people. I mean, these are pretty high end people that are excited and that look to you guys for to know what's coming out, to have a direct line to some of those resources. So.
Nice.
I think you're doing great work.
Yeah, we love to hear that. Thank you, man.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking a chance on
We appreciate
having
you.
me
We
out.
appreciate what you're contributing to the industry as
Thank
well.
you.
I mean, it's unforeseen, the potential, but it's we're just
There's
tip
so
of the
many
iceberg.
competitive techs out there. Ooh, just
Oh, I
put a
mean, my
leaderboard
ego.
up. Oh my!
I'm like, I'm ready to take this Tesla
We-
right now.
We already have a leaderboard function within a
Built
certain,
in.
within a certain cohort, so you can see who's your superstars on certain exams in like a group of 30 people.
That just makes me want to go home and study, right? Automatically just knowing that there's. Dang, man,
Some of them get really into it. It's
I
really
love
cool
that. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. It's the whole reason why I play video games, because of that type of thing. So
because you like to be challenged.
I like to be challenged.
Yeah. Like to scream at little kids with
Exactly.
your stop it, mister, I don't know those words.
It is strange how good little kids are at games.
Oh
these
no,
days,
no,
but-
yeah, I don't think the
My son kills it at
Oh my
Fortnite.
gosh! Is that
No,
how we're
no.
going to be looking at the new MRI techs that get done with this program?
Robert, you need to put your kids on ScanLab.
put them out right now. They'll
Right
be
now.
let them start
Oh,
to
my son
make you
would.
some money.
Get them on the
Dude.
leaderboard.
Right, retire early. Force your children into slavery.
There might be like a scholarship opportunity. I'm not saying that maybe you could endorse that or sponsor it. Maybe
My kids really like it. They get into it if I'm supposed to go and speak at my youngest school.
Oh,
So
nice.
she's still proud of me right now. It'll change
Give
soon.
it a couple
She'll be like,
years, yeah.
"Oh, Dad, no."
I'm right in the transition phase
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
I'm
Why are you so awkward?
God, Dad,
I'm like, your dad is cool, okay? I swear to God I am.
check out this podcast. My daughter Penelope, my oldest one, she subscribes to
Hi,
Zone 3.
Penelope.
So hi, Penny Sue.
I saw the comment on the last episode too. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So,
Nice.
so, but guys, thanks for having me. You're doing great work, and
Well, I hit
appreciate being-
goodbyes, so we'll see you later.
You made me
Right?
cry. and thank you, Katie.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks,
You're awesome.
Katie.
No,
Nice
no.
to meet you.
Nice
You're
Did
to
you-
meet you.
we
Thanks
miss
for having
anything?
me.
All right, big shout out to Aegis, of course.
Thank you,
Love
Aegis.
those guys. Thanks, Aegis.
They played a big part in you coming out here, so thank you, Ages.
Yes.
And thank you for subscribing. Tell your friends. Do all those things that YouTubers tell you to do. Zone 3 Podcast. We're out.
Good.